Hail Internet, it's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We're here today talking about Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, Season 2, Episode 5, Charades. We open with Nurse Chapel preparing for her Vulcan archaeological medicine sabbatical interview. I forgot what anyway, she's into an interview for a Vulcan thing. Spock leaning into his ability to hold his emotions in check. The two of them are in a shuttle accident. Spock awakens to find out that he is now 100% human. He's Pinocchio. That's how we open. We end with Spock and T'Pring putting their relationship on hold, and Spock and Chapel acknowledge their feelings. They kiss, they embrace. Yes, they're they acknowledge their feelings for each other.
That's
and we
right.
roll credits. Paul,
Yes.
what'd you think of episode 5?
So, I had some difficulties with the episode.
All right, fair enough.
I needed to view it twice, really, and it did come around for me at the end.
You know, it's funny because you saw it before I did, and then we
Yes.
talked briefly before I saw the episode, and or at least you'd watched half of it or something, and you were like, "Yeah, I don't know about this," and so I went into it like, "Oh my, Paul doesn't like it," and it was actually I enjoyed it better than I thought I would, but I still have some issues with it. But you set me up well. You gave me the expectations.
I lowered your expectations
you did.
appropriately.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that said, take the floor, sir. What are your thoughts?
So I mean, it certainly helped learning that it was written by Catherine Lynn, who is a writer on the Lower Decks, and wrote the episode. The Vulcan episode that I liked so much, and I quoted there. So
interesting that they're bringing Lower Decks in later. Apparently, they didn't bring them in this episode, but okay.
Right, true, yeah. So maybe that's all part of it. They're sharing writers. Maybe that'll continue in that episode. However, she co-wrote the episode. So it was the humor where I was sort of stumbling over in my initial watch because. There were a number of things that were broader than I would have liked.
Yeah.
So, agreed. And I'd forgotten too when I spoke to you about it that in the first season the T'Pring Spock episode was a comedy episode when T'Pring and Spock switch places.
So kind of on brand for this because it's kind of a body swap again, right? It's like, oh, I'm no longer a Vulcan. Yeah.
To have this crazy situation.
It's
the mother-in-law.
Yeah. Yeah. There's it. Yeah.
And a few things in that, so all those, him going crazy over bacon and him,
losing it at Sam Kirk.
Yeah,
whatever,
that was, that was pushing me a little bit too much. I was like, oh, okay, this is a little forced.
Yeah, it feels. It's a comedic episode, and so you go with it in that way. But it does feel too contrived, maybe, to meet the premise. It's like, what if Spock suddenly became human?
Yeah.
Right before meeting his insufferable, racist mother-in-law to be.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he can't just say, through no fault of my own, I've been temporarily, physiologically transformed by an alien life form. Yeah. So he has to pretend to be a Vulcan through some wacky in-law ceremonies with the help of the entire crew who's playing along with this, dare I say, charade.
Yeah.
The title in there. Ooh. There we go. I will say this. I mean, because there were some of the comedy that hit for me, and I know I've been like, I feel like I've been like this Pike stan the entire time.
Yeah, you
But
have.
again, he's got the funniest bits. Freaking Pike. The best delivery in the episode, in my opinion, it's when Pike is trying to describe the rules of charades to T'Pring and T'Pring's dad.
Yes.
Asks like, and he's talking about, oh, you just pick a word and he's like, what sort of word? A sacred word? And then the reaction of Pike is what was the funniest moment in the episode to me. Where he's like,
wow, okay.
He goes like, yeah. But like this the way it's the delivery of his like what sure okay that was I appreciated that moment in particular. Making them act like phone tech support was funny. It was funny, although again it just felt a little too contrived for this show. Like you were just comparing it to, actually you have a better comparison than I do, to the first season comedic episode. But to me, it shares a little bit of characters in terms of the absurdity, as you mentioned, broad humor. But like the absurdity of some of the humor kind of goes along. Like what I consider to be the worst episode of Strange New Worlds, which was the fairy tale episode.
Oh yes, no, yeah,
from season 1, where it just was thematically all over the place. And it's like, which show are you writing for?
Yeah.
And I get it. Trek can be all things. You got a holodeck. That proved that. But there is a recognizable personality to the show. And I feel like this kind of crossed over to one of those like door slamming farce. Like this became Three's Company almost. You know, you're like, I don't need to watch Three's Company. I'm okay. I'd rather watch Trek, you know.
Thankfully though, for me, I think the moment when Spock defends his mother felt true and good. I feel like when T'Pring decided, you know what, you made the wrong choice when you didn't tell me. You know, it felt like the wrong decision to make, and he made it.
I appreciated that there was a consequence to that. That it was like, look, you chose to hide this because you didn't trust me, but you told the entire crew and they were all willing to lie to my face. So maybe this isn't we're working out. I mean, I appreciate that too. I like that.
And the moment between Spock and his mother when she tells him about Spock seeing the experience of his childhood from his perspective, but then his mother's gave him a different appreciation for what his mother went through. And I think that it was a good thing to have it be that him tell himself, okay, it's difficult to love a Vulcan, and make it clear the difficulty that Christine Chapel was going through.
That Chapel's having, right, exactly. Now, they've covered this in a way, and I'm sure I should know this, but I'm kind of fuzzy on the details, so maybe you can fill me in here. So it starts with my thought of like, why is his mom so willing to play along? Like, I guess I was thinking like, why? Who is this marriage important to? It's an arranged marriage, right? Like, so her family obviously doesn't want it. Spock's mom, I don't think, is desperate for it. Spock and T'Pring aren't really head over heels for each other. Is this because of Sarek? Is this like it elevates Sarek in the Vulcan community? I don't get the stakes.
I don't know.
Why are you going to lie your ass off? Why are you going to tolerate being berated for something nobody wants in the first place?
I don't know where you're getting that they're not committed to it. That Spock and T'Pring aren't committed to it.
Well, they don't love each other. I mean, that's pretty clear. We saw that in season 1. They were like, wait, do we love each other? Maybe we don't. And then here, it's like, actually, it seems like we're not really connecting. Like, I mean, it's not that they hate each other or whatever, but they don't have this, like, I will run through walls for you. Like, they're like, okay, I guess things work out. Sure, we can
I think you're using your context a little too strongly.
Okay.
The fact that, I mean, I think when we first see the two of them together, T'Pring proposes, and I think they have a definite chemistry together, and so the obligations that they, I think they're being pulled apart certainly, and they're trying to make it work. I think it's more complex. I think it's more complex than that. Even though they do want you to understand that this is everything she's saying about the problems that we've seen continually, or what in the amok time or whatever that she brings up. Like, that's it. I've had it.
and we know it doesn't end well, right? With either Chapel
and so
or T'Pring.
Really, they're really setting you up
to this love triangle.
They're really setting you up though. Like, okay, like now they're broken up, and he's getting on with Chapel, where he never did. At least it didn't seem like he did in the original series. So I guess it doesn't work out between them.
Right, it can't.
Then,
I mean, well, it could. I mean, whatever. You can write whatever you want. But
right,
I
exactly.
Feel like
But yeah, I mean, one of the things in this episode that's interesting is they referred to Roger Corby, and so that's the the love interest of Chapel, and so
I can compute. I can analyze.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's clearly, not clearly coming, but it really seemed like that, especially in this episode, they're going to mention it. And then.
Yeah, but your comment is interesting to me because I didn't get that. And you're right. If you think back to season 1, it's been a while, and I guess I haven't really remembered some of the exploring Spock and T'Pring's relationship in season 1 as much.
Yes.
Because, if Spock felt about T'Pring the way he feels about Chapel, this would all make more sense to me in that it's like I'm willing to jump through these insidious societal hoops so that we can be together. But it's like even as a full human, he's jumping through these societal hoops, and I didn't get that there was an emotional motivation involved. He doesn't love T'Pring, so he's like, I'm doing all this. Why? I don't know exactly. Which people do. It's not like that's completely unbelievable, but it just felt like I didn't feel the stakes. I was like, why are you? Why? You don't even want this, so why are you doing it? But yeah, okay. I think maybe you're right. On some level, he does. But anyway.
Yeah, if you look at that episode, actually, you look at both of those episodes, the one that you initially thought of, where they were on the same page. They're not supposed to be Vulcans who can't lie, and she's like, oh, I'm having this affair with Chapel. And she's like, oh, okay, well, let's just break up. And at the end, she was like, oh, no, I knew what you were doing. I could, they were on the same page with that. They understood each other that well.
Yeah. All right. Yep. Good call. Yeah, I guess it just, there was a level of absurdity to the comedy that maybe just pushed the envelope a little too far to make it
and to
recognizable as part of a Trek series.
And to blame Lower Decks for that.
Yeah, right. And actually, that makes perfect sense.
Because there are a number of things about the Lower Decks series where it's like it's a comedy, and there are a number of things that are played for laughs, and therefore.
And it's a parody in a lot of ways, right? I mean, it's parodying element tropes of Star Trek.
Yes. But there's certain things that become shorthand because you want to get to the laugh, and so there are a number of things where it's like. Magically, whatever the aliens came up with could be fit into a hypospray, and
right. Here's your vitamins. Yeah.
Having that difficulty in communicating with them. I wasn't especially impressed with, the idea of her having to come with explain. How she feels about Spock.
Like Chapel having to explain why Spock's important to her. Yeah, that felt like one of those end first. Let's do the result and then write back to get to the result. So it was like, we want Chapel to have to stand in front of her friends and admit that she has feelings for Spock. And it was
I think it could have used a few more passes. Where it's her really expressing something, and maybe. Because they didn't, the fact that it was so, we did this thing, we fixed you, and you didn't match or whatever, all that, could have been better. So, but it's funny. I was harder on some of the jokey aspects of it, like teaching Spock how to be a Vulcan, but that had a certain charm to it, and
Yeah, there were bits in there that when they were like imitating his voice or whatever. Like, do I sound like that? Yeah. That's how you sound.
I had to just confess I didn't hear it in the first time through, but the second time, like, you move your eyebrow while keeping all other muscles in your face inactive.
Facial muscles.
That worked actually. I was that was humorous.
Yeah. I found it interesting. I don't think we knew this previously. Something about how Vulcans use some kind of nasal dampeners so that they can't, feel the emotion of the scent.
Yeah. I don't know if that's new.
Thing, or that's
I don't know. It's because apparently I should say apparently. I mean, they have mentioned the smell of humans before. That the Vulcans.
Right, good
so,
point. So it's not that damp. Yeah.
The other thing I was noticed actually, I think that Ortega's has finally found her line for when she's a captain. Hold on to your butts. So, I think she's found it. She's workshopped she's finally found it. That's what she should say.
Samuel L. Jackson from Jurassic Park, right? Hold on to your butts. I believe that's his line.
Yes, it's true.
And many other lines. I'm sure other people have said it many times, but that's the one I think of when I'm thinking of hold on to your butts.
So yeah, I think that should be her.
Yeah, it's a good line. You're right. That's her captain's chair. Engage. I'll give it credit for, you know what, it was like, look, we're in the middle of the season, let's do a mid-season little palate cleanser, let's make a light episode, and it was light. It was very light, and some of the jokes worked. As I laughed at a few moments in it, so in that way it worked. But there's just something, I think it pushed it a little too far, that it didn't come off as an episode of Star Trek, I guess.
It felt like Star Trek, but I mean, it's funny. I was telling somebody about the first Kibble Tribble episode in the original series.
Oh, right, the Trouble.
I actually don't like that episode too much because the humor's a little broad. That's Star Trek. It's like it's done by your father. The father's humor there. It's a little corny at times.
Yeah. I mean, this will actually probably sound sacrilegious. I probably shouldn't even say this. But that, there was Luoxana Troy.
Oh.
Now, she played by Majel Barrett, show icon. I have no complaints with the performance.
Well, you don't?
But anytime it was a Troy and her mom episode, I was like, well, I will see you next week, Star Trek. Thank you for playing, and we're out.
Yeah, no, I'll follow your blasphemy with my own blasphemy, is that she is not a very good actress.
Okay, all right. You said it. You said it.
I did. That's right.
I said I didn't have complaints.
Watch our followers drop.
It was just the writing. That's what it was.
Watch our followers drop.
Yeah, no. Anyway.
Flame wars begin.
Those not the strongest next gen episodes. Let's just say that the Luoxana Troy collection. You're like, I think I'll pass on those. I'll get the other DVDs. Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, so so this was better than that. This was better than the Luoxana Troy episodes
and
of Next
I'll
Gen.
say, I told you that I was afraid that I was hoping it was going to be better than the Mbengue episode in the first season, and I do think it was better.
Yep, I agree. No, they are not comparable in that way. No. The fairy tale episode is still the worst Strange New Worlds episode.
You can breathe a sigh of relief. Mbengue episode.
Woo!
Yeah.
Bullet dodged.
Still have,
So, any case, I know that's all I had. Do you have anything else?
No, I think I hit all the points I wanted to.
All right, awesome. So, we'll be back talking about episode 6. We're finishing up with the Lazarus Project as well, and we are also close to finishing up on Secret Invasion. So, come on back for all of those. I appreciate it, Paul.
Oh, no problem.
And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.